Count Jerry, I have no business being here. You've done a fantastic job introducing Bhutan, my king, and his royal vision. Thank you so much. And you've taken so much trouble. You and FBX and Kun Fred, Kun Vikon, all of you, and your foundation, Chao Phraya Abhay Raja Foundation, FBX, to get us all together. I don't know where Bhutan ends here and where Thailand begins. You've brought us together so seamlessly. This level of seamless integration can come about only with genuine love and affection. I want to thank each and every one of you who was involved in making this possible. Thank you, FBX, all your members. Thank you, Chao Phraya Abhay Raja Foundation. Thank you very much. They say one of the most difficult times to speak is after lunch because everybody has eaten and are somewhat sleepy. I've never tried this. This is my first time. Speaking after a sumptuous dinner must be more difficult, especially one flowing with one of the 17 top 17, not 10. I stand corrected. 17 of the top 17 beers are owned by one family. And I had perhaps one glass too many. Thanks to you, sir. Dr. Chirapu, Honorable Privy Councillor, thank you for being here. And thank you and your wife for making sure that I kept drinking. And thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm genuinely reluctant to take the floor and interrupt the networking, the friendship building, the connection that I see happening all over the room. We are here to build bridges. We are here to dream together. And I feel that I am just interrupting you. It is my honor to be with you, to talk about Bhutan. Well, Bhutan is one of 195 countries. The UN lists 195 countries. So which is the oldest country? This is an interactive session to help me keep awake. Which is the oldest country? The Egyptian civilization was there 5,000 years ago. Chinese civilization. In the Middle East, civilization. In the Indian subcontinent, there was civilization. But many say that San Marino, established about 300 years before Christ, is the oldest country. San Marino. And the youngest? South Sudan, established in 2011. Okay, what's the biggest country? It depends what you mean by biggest, right? By land area, somebody said Russia. 17 million square kilometers. 11 time zones in one country. By population, it was China, and now it is India. 1.4 billion people and growing. 1.4 billion people. By economy, it's America. $29 trillion. Can you imagine what you can do? You could solve all of our problems, from geopolitical problems to climate change to poverty, if you had access to that much money. These are the largest countries. The smallest country, Vatican City. Half a square kilometer. But if you don't consider Vatican City, it's Monaco. 2 square kilometers. Phenomenally rich. Like Belgium. But 2 square kilometers. New York Central Park is 3.5 square kilometers. It's almost half the size of Central Park in New York. By population, it's Tuvalu in the Pacific Ocean. A small island country, 11,000 people. And by economy also, it looks like it's Tuvalu, about 50 to 60 million US dollars. So among 195 countries, which is the best country? Bhutan, Thailand, I mean, it depends. If you go by happiness records, it looks like Finland. Year after year, they're considered the happiest country in the earth. There's Denmark, Sweden. If you consider beer, it's probably Belgium. But by and large, we are not satisfied with any of the 195 countries. This is why we imagine countries. We dream of countries. 500 years ago, the country called Utopia was introduced to the world, and today we still use the word utopia by Thomas More. Utopia, an idealized country of peace, progress, harmony. 100 years ago, James Hilton introduced Shangri-La. And even today, we still look for Shangri-La. Again, an idealized society, living in harmony with nature, mindful, spiritual, and timeless, because people just don't go old there. But this is the work of fiction. What if you were to design a country? What if you had access? What if you were in charge of a country and had to design a country for the future generations? How would you take care of your country? What if your country was just emerging from the medieval ages? Didn't have a modern economy to speak of. People were generally subsistence farmers. How would you educate them? Would you make them pay for their school? How would you ensure that they live long? Would you charge for their medicine? Or would you give them free healthcare and free education, giving as much opportunity as possible, while using your natural resources sustainably? What if you had plenty of natural resources? Would you exploit the natural resources? Would you cut your trees? Would you mine the earth indiscriminately so that you have access to immediate wealth? Or would you take the more difficult path of creating a sustainable economy and distributing its wealth around the country through creating of opportunities? Opportunities like free healthcare and free education. What if this country of yours had a unique culture, a unique tradition, a unique spirituality? Would you ignore it? Would you undermine it? The wealth of countless generations in the pursuit of material gain? Or would you protect it? Just as would you protect the environment? Would you in time trust your people to govern themselves? And even if you had absolute power, would you compel them to have democracy? if in most of these areas you believe that you would for the people, your people and their futures, your futures, you believe in gross national happiness. Because gross national happiness is ultimately about balancing. Balancing economic growth, which is very important, but balancing that growth with sustainability, with environmental sustainability, with social equity, with social progress through free healthcare and free education, by protecting the environment, protecting our culture, and good governance. This, in summary, is the story of my country. The story of my country, the story of Bhutan, and the legacy of His Majesty our kings. Almost 50 years ago, the concept of gross national happiness was introduced to the world by a very young monarch. The journey must not have been difficult. Like Count Jerry, who was fortunate to be born in his house and not his neighbor's, many of us feel fortunate that we were born in Bhutan and not elsewhere. Because our kings have given us gross national happiness. And from a medieval society, we've come a long way. Today, we are a vibrant democracy. Today, we have a unique culture and identity. Today, we are a carbon-negative country. Today, every child goes to school in Bhutan. But we have our problems. Because of the successes of gross national happiness, we face challenges now. Challenges that we should not really have to face. Simply put, we Bhutanese, having enjoyed the best possible education system a poor country can give, and that too in the English medium, we can go anywhere in the world and get a job. And so many Bhutanese are going out, especially the young. They are going out to study, and they're going out to work. And for a country that is small, just 700,000, 750,000 of us, this is cause for concern, especially since our economy, which is already small, has not recovered from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. And this is why I'm so happy to be here among you. Because you can help us. You can work with us in at least 3 ways. The first way is you can help by visiting Bhutan. Now, many of you have already been to Bhutan. Come back. But I know that I met many people who have not been to Bhutan. What's keeping you away? It's only 2.5 hours from here. There are flights every day. Come and visit us. This is important for us. The second way you can help us is by building on the friendship that you have made around in your tables. I'm grateful to all my friends who have traveled from Bhutan here. Most also are family businesses. Please invest together in Bhutan. This will not only help a country, it will help a movement called gross national happiness. And as for the third way you can help, I'll keep that a little later. GNH cannot fail. It has not failed. The only problem is its very success is threatening its failure now. Because our children, our youth, many adults, qualified, able, can speak in international languages, are going abroad to study and work, some of whom may not come back. And so we need to ensure that we take GNH to the next level. We need to think of GNH 2.0. And so while GNH was a development philosophy for a country, GNH 2.0 could be one for a new city. Now there are 10,000 cities in the world, depending on how you define cities. The biggest city, probably New York, 11,000 square kilometers. Remember, the Central Park itself was just its Central Park is 3.5 square kilometers. So New York City is the biggest. The richest city, New York. $2 trillion is the economy of New York. Smallest, there are many small cities, but altogether 10,000 cities around the world. Half of humanity live in cities. Which is the happiest city? Which is the best city, sorry? Which is the best city? Bangkok. It has to be Bangkok. It's the food, the culture, the spirituality, the temples, the wine. It's all of that. But it really is Bangkok from one measure. 22 million people visited Bangkok last year. The highest number of tourists that visited last year in any city was in Bangkok. The next was Paris, 19 million. Then London, again 19 million. And then Dubai and Singapore. And Phuket and Pattaya are number 9 and 10, again at 10 million each. So you have some of the best cities measured by the number of tourists, international people who want to visit your city. By that measure, Bangkok is the world's best city, hands down. But what if you had to design your own city? Would you design it like Bangkok? Bangkok is 1,500 square kilometers. What if you had 2,600 square kilometers? How would you design your city from scratch? What if it was a blank canvas? And what if on that canvas you had an old forest out there, a national park, teeming with wildlife and biodiversity, in fact, a biodiversity hotspot for the world? How would you design your city? Would you take away from the biodiversity hotspot, or would you integrate your city mindfully into the biodiversity hotspot? But what if you had 2 biodiversity hotspots on opposite ends of your city? And what if they were connected by a biological corridor? How would you then decide to build your city? What if the area, the landscape, was crisscrossed with waterways? And what if one waterway was teeming with aquatic life, coming from the water emerging from the glacial Himalayas? What if the other mighty river could generate 5,000 megawatts of renewable electricity? Electricity that could power the renewable energy needs of your city. What if there were farms throughout, small farms spread throughout the landscape? How would you build your city? Would you build skyscrapers or would you build low-rises? How would you build your city so that even during the process of building, during the construction phase, it is carbon negative, carbon neutral? How would you use your earth, your stone, your timber to build homes and offices in your city? How would you design your transport? Would it be carbon emitting? Or would your transport be sustainable, carbon neutral? We have this opportunity to dream about a city that's 2,600 square kilometers in pristine land. We dream. This is His Majesty's royal vision, the Gelughu Mindfulness City. It is a city like many other cities, yes. We have 10,000 cities, and there are many other new cities being imagined, being dreamed of. From California Forever and Telusa to Line, Nusantara, Egypt capital region. There are many cities. What differentiates the Gelughu Mindfulness City from most other cities is that, number one, it is based on the values of gross national happiness, of sustainability, of equity, of mindfulness, steeped in our spirituality. Number two, it is a special administrative region. All other new cities are tied to their parent country. The rules, regulations, and laws of the country are imposed on that city. So that city has very little freedom to maneuver to achieve its vision. The Gelughu Mindfulness City, as a special administrative region, will have independence in its governance, in its legislature, and in its judiciary. Number three, and most important, is that it is a royal vision. A royal vision of our King, not for himself, but for the country, for our future, and hopefully an inspiration to the world. I want to invite you to have a peek into one of the visions of the Gelughu Mindfulness City, that of our architect, Bjarke Ingels. You have your own vision. I want you to treasure your vision that you have developed just a while ago on how you would build your mindful city, your sustainable city. Keep that in your mind while we see Bjarke Ingels interpret how he would develop the city. Can we see?
Bhutan is the Vajrayana Buddhist capital of the world, a special place where wisdom and compassion have forged a unique way of life. Fiercely proud of their traditions, Bhutanese have preserved their cultural values for centuries through a joint effort focused on sharing, teaching, and caring. Their communities thrive on collective well-being, growing a society that measures its nation's success on 9 indicators of happiness. A land of mountains, forests, and rivers, Bhutan is one of the world's last remaining biodiversity hotspots and its first carbon-negative country. After centuries of perfecting a life of harmony with others and nature, Bhutan is now ready to show the world how to create a sustainable human presence on Earth. Descending from the Himalayas to the tropical plains, an uninterrupted flow of water, plants, and animals shape the mindfulness city. Cascading terrace fields become lively neighborhoods nested along naturally connected ecologies. Inhabitable bridges span across biodiversity corridors, connecting communities both physically and spiritually with centers for innovation, education, and recreation. The city may lead you on a journey of discovery to connect with your body, mind, and soul. A home for meditation and a place for togetherness, where knowledge can be shared, taught, and practiced with the world's spiritual leaders. The Mindfulness City will join traditional with new, finding a balance that is both respectful and creative. A constellation of public squares provides centers for cultural gatherings and festivities, while a network of social infrastructure supports the community's everyday needs. People of all ages, abilities and backgrounds will share knowledge and ideas to grow future generations into the leaders of tomorrow. Bhutanese arts will be preserved and traditional craft will expand through handmade and advanced technology to build a city where engineering is art and nature is power. The Mindfulness City will become a gateway, a bridge between local and global, past and future, nature and humanity. It will be an invitation to the world to participate in the Bhutanese mindset, to learn, to teach, and to share its values towards growing a more sustainable future.